This happened to me about 8 months ago, and I still can't make sense of it. My name's Jake, I'm 29, and I drive for a rideshare company. You know, the app where people request rides and you pick them up. It's normally pretty safe, especially during daylight hours. I'd been doing it for about 2 years without any serious problems, until November 14th. I remember the exact date because it was my sister's birthday, and I'd planned to quit early that night to go to her party. But money was tight, so I decided to take just one more ride before heading home. The pickup request came in at 9:47 p.m. It was for an address in the suburbs, about 15 minutes from where I was. The passenger's name was listed as Michael R., 5-star rating, which is always a good sign. The destination was across town to a hospital. I figured maybe someone visiting a patient, nothing unusual. I pulled up to the address, a normal-looking 2-story house with the porch light on. I sent the "I'm here" notification through the app and waited. After about 30 seconds, I saw someone come out of the house and walk toward my car. Male, probably mid-40s, wearing a dark jacket and jeans. He matched the profile photo in the app. He got in the back seat, said hello, and confirmed he was going to Mercy General Hospital. His voice was quiet, almost monotone, but polite enough. I confirmed the destination in the app and started driving. The first 10 minutes were completely normal. He sat in the back, looking at his phone, not saying anything. I had music playing softly, just some generic pop station. Everything was fine. Then we got on the highway, and that's when I noticed something in my rearview mirror. He wasn't looking at his phone anymore. He was staring straight ahead, completely still, not looking around or out the window like passengers usually do, just staring at nothing with this blank expression. I tried to ignore it. Some people zone out when they're tired, right? Maybe he had a long day. Maybe he was worried about whoever he was visiting at the hospital. But something about it felt off. About 5 minutes later, I glanced back again. He was leaning forward slightly now, and I realized he was looking directly at the back of my head. Still not moving, barely blinking, just watching me drive. I cleared my throat and asked if everything was okay. He didn't respond right away. There was this pause that lasted maybe 5 seconds too long, and then he said, "Yeah, everything's fine." But his voice sounded different, flatter, and he went right back to staring. Now I'm starting to feel uncomfortable, but I'm trying to keep it together. We're on the highway doing 65, and the hospital is still about 10 minutes away. I start thinking about what I'll do if something goes wrong. I've got my phone mounted on the dash. There are other cars around. I can pull over if I need to. That's when he spoke again. "You're going the wrong way." I told him no. The GPS has us going the right way to Mercy General. Should be there in about 10 minutes. But he just said it again, same flat tone. "You're going the wrong way." I'm about to tell him to check the app himself when I glance at my phone and my stomach drops. The destination isn't showing Mercy General anymore. It's showing some address I don't recognize, way out past the city limits. Rural route, middle of nowhere. I know I didn't change it. I watched myself enter Mercy General, but somehow the destination had changed. I immediately exit the highway at the next off-ramp. I tell him there's been some kind of glitch with the app and I'm going to drop him at the gas station right here so he can get another ride. I'm trying to keep my voice steady, but I'm definitely on edge now. He doesn't say anything. I pull into the gas station parking lot, put the car in park, and turn around to tell him this is the end of the ride. That's when I get a good look at his face. His skin looked wrong. Too pale, almost gray in the fluorescent lights from the gas station, and something about his eyes wasn't right. They seemed dull, unfocused, like he was looking at me but not really seeing me. I told him he needed to get out. My hand moved toward my center console where I keep my phone charger and other stuff, just in case I needed to grab something. He stared at me for another few seconds, then opened the door and got out without a word. But instead of walking toward the gas station or calling another ride, he walked around to the front of my car and just stood there, right in front of my headlights. not moving, just standing there, looking at me through the windshield. I locked all the doors and called 911, told them I had a passenger acting strange and I felt unsafe. While I was on the phone with the dispatcher, he didn't move, just stood there in front of my car, lit up by my headlights. The dispatcher asked me to describe him, and as I was doing that, I noticed something that made my skin crawl. The headlights were hitting him straight on, bright as day, but his shadow looked faint, like it wasn't as dark as it should be. I mentioned this to the dispatcher, probably sounded crazy, but she stayed professional and said officers were about 2 minutes away. Then he raised one hand and pointed, not at me, past me, toward the passenger side of my car. Every instinct told me not to look, but I did. There was someone sitting in my passenger seat. I know that seat was empty when I pulled in. I had looked. But now there was a woman sitting there, wearing what looked like a faded hospital gown. Her skin had that same gray pallor, and she was staring straight ahead at the dashboard, not at me, just staring forward with no expression at all. I didn't scream or anything dramatic like that, I just froze. My brain couldn't process what I was seeing. Then I snapped out of it, threw my door open, and went straight into the gas station. Told the clerk the police were coming and I needed to stay inside. 2 officers showed up maybe 3 minutes later. I explained what happened, left out the weird details about the gray skin and the woman appearing, just said a passenger was acting threatening and wouldn't leave. They went out to check my car. I watched through the window as they looked inside with their flashlights, walked around it, checked the area. When they came back in, they said the car was empty. No one inside, no one in the parking lot matching the description. They asked if I was sure about what I saw. I said yes, but honestly, I was starting to doubt myself at that point. They asked if I still had his information from the apps so they could follow up. I pulled up my phone to show them the ride details. The ride wasn't there. I went through my entire history, every trip from that day, that week, even that month. Nothing. No pickup from that address, no passenger named Michael R., no trip to Mercy General. It was like the ride had never happened. One of the officers suggested maybe I was tired, had a long shift, maybe dozed off for a second, and had a vivid dream. The other one was looking at me like he thought I might be on something. I showed them my trip history, showed them the last ride I actually had on record was 2 hours earlier. They couldn't explain why the ride I just did wasn't logged, but they also didn't seem that interested in figuring it out. They asked if I felt safe to drive home. I said yes. They left. I sat in that gas station parking lot for another 20 minutes before I worked up the nerve to get back in my car. When I did, I checked every inch of it. Back seat, front seat, trunk, nothing. I drove home and told myself it was exactly what the cop said. I was tired, stressed about money, had been driving for too many hours. My mind played a trick on me. I almost believed it, too. Until the next morning when I was cleaning out my car. I was vacuuming the back seat when I found something wedged between the seat and the door. A hospital ID bracelet. The plastic kind they put on patients when they're admitted. It was old, really old. The plastic was yellowed and brittle, and some of the text had faded. But I could still read the name, Michael Reeves, and the date, November 14th, 1987. I just stared at it for a long time. November 14th, 1987. Exactly 39 years before the night I picked him up. I looked up the name later that day. Took some searching, but I found an old newspaper article from November 1987. There had been a car accident on Highway 40, the same highway I'd been driving on with him. A vehicle had gone off the road around 10 p.m. 2 people were in the car, Michael Reeves, 43, and his wife, Diana Reeves, 39. Both were transported to Mercy General Hospital. Neither of them survived. The article mentioned they were pronounced dead at 11:34 p.m. on November 14th, 1987. Almost exactly the same time I was sitting in that gas station parking lot with police looking at an empty car. I still have the ID bracelet. I don't know why I kept it. It's in a drawer in my apartment. Sometimes I think about throwing it away, but I can't bring myself to do it. It's the only proof I have that any of it was real. I haven't driven for Rideshare since that night. I deleted the app, got a regular job with regular hours. I tell people I just got tired of the gig economy, wanted something more stable. That's true, I guess. But the real reason is I can't shake the feeling that if I started driving again, if I turned that app back on, eventually I'd get another request. Same address, same name, same 5-star rating. And I don't know what would happen if I accepted it a second time.